Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Cosy Corner Podcast. We have got a sister duo today talking all about Liverpool Locations. Now, this is something that I'm really excited about because it's always been an area of the film industry that's excited me and really interested me. So we're going to find out all about that and dive into that right now. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to get into this.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I have been like a follower on Instagram and all that. I've loved like Liverpool Locations and seen what you guys have done. And it was actually a surprise to me that you two were sisters. I didn't know that like right off the bat.
No,
So
we look very different.
you do actually. But yeah, I found that absolutely fascinating that you both really wanted to get into that. So how about we start this off talking about how you got into this and what made you want to go into locations?
Well, I'm the older sister, so it was me first. My mum and dad was like pushing me to get a load of work experience, and they'd managed to speak to like one of my dad's best friends, who was a police officer who was consulting on a police drama that was called Blue Murder or something like that in Liverpool. So they managed to get me some work experience, and I was really reluctant. I was like, I don't know, you're making me do this, da, da, da. But I'm so super grateful because that's what parents are meant to be doing, and I'll be doing it very soon for my kids. So I went into the work experience and I just loved it. I was using the clapperboard, I was running around making people cups of tea, and then because of that, that made me think, oh, I want to get into this. So tried my hardest to get in. It's a very difficult industry to get your foot in the door. It's like who you know, not what you know, and that cliche sort of worked for us because our uncle used to write scripts for Brookside many years ago, and he introduced us to a producer called Colin McEwen, who's got Ellie Productions in the north of Liverpool, and he started Brookside with Phil Redmond. So anyway, so Colin said, you know, yeah, she can come and do some work experience in the office. So I went into the office as a production runner. I was making everyone's tea, I was doing all the photocopying, I was ordering stationery, getting them their lunches, any little bits that they thought they needed. And then the location manager needed some help, so they just gave me to the location manager. Now I didn't have a clue what that was, and that department, it's not actually a department that people know very much about, which we're champions of it, so we try and tell people. And he was pretty old school, so I used the laptop, the computer, did all this driving around, dropping contracts off, ringing people, knocking on doors, picking up keys, and then when I came out of university, he rang me and said, would you like a job and we'll pay you this time? So I was like, yes, and then so my mind just went from there. And then obviously with me already being in it, I was able to let Faye know about it and encourage her.
Yeah, so my way in was obviously through Claire. So there's 4.5 years difference. I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do, and I knew I was going to have a year out before uni. I had booked uni and I booked to do business and management, but only because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And in that year out, Claire was on a kind of gangster drama feature film that was happening in Liverpool, and they needed it was like a work experience runner. So again, I came in, it was for a whole week, and I did make cups of tea, carried kit. It was the most amazing and exciting thing ever, and I was very lucky with my work experience. I know you did quite a few weeks, so Claire did do quite a few weeks of work experience over the summer, whereas I did a week. And then after that week, they asked me if I wanted to be the director's assistant, do a lot of running around for him. And yeah, so I was very lucky to very quickly get work over that summer. I did go to uni, but all the way through uni, I'd already made quite a lot of contacts on my first job. So all my holidays, days off, I'd do jobs or do more work experience to kind of work my way up in the industry. And totally separately, I got into locations department as well through other location managers, and then work with Claire as well. So I'd work away across the country totally separately, learning from other people, but then dip back to Liverpool to kind of work with Claire as well. So that was great.
It's so cool that like you're both interested in it even separately.
Yeah.
Like you both still had that love for it. That's so unique and interesting. And obviously you've then gone on to form Liverpool Locations. Was there a reason why you wanted to go off by yourselves and create that?
Yeah, we've been in the industry for about 12 years and worked all over the country, worked our way up in the location department and become location managers. And then we just, Claire had her first child, I think that's what it was. And definitely wanted to be close to home, didn't want to travel as much.
I wanted the shorter jobs as well, so like the commercials where, you know, it's like you do it for a full time for a week and then you've got a gap and those sort of.
Yeah, instead of kind of like 3 months on set, which is really long hours. So we were trying, the reason we set up Liverpool Locations was because we thought if we kind of advertise ourselves on a completely other level, people knew us individually within the industry, but if we just put it out there, we can kind of pick and choose the jobs even more that work for kind of our life. I didn't have kids at that point, but I knew that at some point, you know, I'd want to kind of be closer to home and settle down. And it's definitely an industry where we didn't know whether we could create that kind of world where we could still work in it, because it can be really long hours. So yeah, we've kind of wanted to kind of grow it to see whether we could still be in the industry. I've got 2 boys, Claire's got 2 boys, and we're totally making it work, which is lovely.
Yeah, the work-life balance we were trying to get, which, you know, you don't really get, do you, on the big ones? The big ones are all encompassing, aren't they?
Yeah.
I can imagine like it can be a lot. Definitely.
Yeah,
It seems
like,
like it.
I do love it. Like, it's not like you don't notice the hours. Like, you know, it's not like, I honestly, I tell people, it's like not like being in work. I love my job, so it doesn't feel like work. There's not many times I woke up and, you know, you've got to wake up in the morning at like, I don't know, sort of, you know, 5:30 in the morning to go to work, and then you're not getting back in till 8, 9 o'clock at night. But I don't wake up and go, oh, I don't want to go. I might go, oh, the weather's so bad.
Cold outside.
I'm going to need a third jacket, a 4th pair of shoes, those type of things. So yeah, no, it doesn't. Yeah, I do absolutely love it. But yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted. You've got to work hard, haven't you? Not shy,
Yeah.
hard work.
But I think if it's something that you love, then it's a lot easier to do it, even when it's not like the best of circumstances and you'd rather stay in bed for a sleep in. But yeah, like I know myself, like whenever I'm on jobs where you've got to get up earlier and you've got to go like to locations that are far away, or it's just a bit more difficult than usual. The thing that pushes you is that passion, you know, and it comes through. So yeah, that's good to hear. But I was wondering, over the past few years, Liverpool has massively changed when it's come to the TV and film industry. And I can imagine when you first started out, it was probably a very different scene to what it is now.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's that different. But when I
Do you mean
started,
kind of busy? Do you mean that it might be busy now? Is that what you think?
Yeah, more like there's
mean,
more productions
me-
coming in.
for me, it was so busy when I first got into it that I was turning down jobs. Like, people were calling and asking, you know, I've heard about you working on this, are you free for this? And I was saying no. And I just thought that was normal. And then obviously when there has been the quiet periods, I was like, oh, hang on, maybe this is also, it's peaks and troughs. There's booms and busts, depending on different things. And obviously the seasons make a difference as well. So the more summer seasons where you've got more light, better weather, less public holidays, that's when people want to film stuff. No one's really going to start a production ideally before Christmas, when everyone's going to need to have the time off. There's not much daylight and the weather's horrendous. You're always going to want to start up late January, early February, that type of thing. So yeah, there's the quiet periods and then there's the busy periods. But I think it's generally been quite.
I think it's always been kind of pretty busy Liverpool wise compared to like the rest of the kind of country. Liverpool's kind of pretty constant kind of wave of things. I think maybe it wasn't advertised as much or well known. It was a bit trickier to get into the industry. Plus, I think maybe paparazzi or whatever did not hear about some of the jobs. So I know that I feel like every single job I'm on is somehow in the press these days. So straight away, as soon as it can be, or as soon as you can talk about it, there is a press release on those jobs. Whereas maybe previously, it just maybe wasn't, out there as much and people didn't know. So
I think also the stats are approximately 80% of productions that come here will return with another project. So the more that come, the more come, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, it's definitely busier, but I feel like generally it's kind of always been one of those cities that has definitely kind of had constant kind of wave of filming, which is great, but it's a lot more well known now.
Yeah,
really. And I
yeah,
think the film office has a lot to do with that as well. They're really kind of just an amazing Liverpool film office who
such an advocate for the city, you know. And they do promote us, and they'll consider any query that comes. You know, we want to shut the major road down, we want to shut the tunnels down, we want to move street furniture, all that sort of stuff. They're like, yeah, let's sit down, let's have a talk about it, let's see what we can do.
So for someone who might not be too familiar with locations and how that works, can you tell us a little bit about what an average day in the life of this job looks like?
Well, there's different stages. So we have like our prep stages where we'd be reading scripts and then scouting locations and then taking directors and designers on recce, to go and have a look at the locations, and then we decide which ones we're going to use, look at the pros and cons for all of them. But then you have shoot day. So the shoot day is when it's all being filmed. So obviously we can, you can have an early start of like 4 o'clock in the morning, or if you're lucky, it might be a bit later than that. You've got your unit base, which is your circus that we call it, where all your costume and makeup trucks are all set up, where the crew will be called to. They'll have their breakfast, and then they'll get in their vans, and then they'll travel to the location, wherever that is, generally within a mile of the unit base, ideally. And then you would film at that location all day if you didn't have other ones that you had to travel to, depending on the schedule. You'd wrap around about 7-8 o'clock at night, and then you de-rig everything, and then you travel home. So I make it sound really simple, but there'll be lots of problem solving throughout that day.
It's very project management roles. So obviously the prep, if it was a TV drama, could be kind of 3-4 months, 5 months of kind of scouting and finding locations that exist in the city. Obviously, Claire said picking and choosing those locations, and then we kind of do the contracts. Obviously speak to the local film office council about road closures, and then we are there for the shoot days as well.
We have to engage all the third-party suppliers as well, so like police, traffic management, security, toilets, all those sort of like really glamorous things.
We have to kind of make sure all the residents and businesses are happy, or liaise with them to kind of, if it's a period drama, can we dress your windows? Can we dress the whole street?
Can you move your car?
So I think it's just very project management when it gets to the kind of shoot stage of things, and obviously we have a whole team that can help us make that work, because it could be that you're filming for kind of 6-8 weeks, 10 weeks for that kind of one episode. So it gets pretty busy, and that's when the long hours kick in when you're filming.
I can imagine. Like, it sounds like such a fun job, but hectic and busy.
But we do absolutely love it. I think that's it. It's
every day is different, which helps.
And the people that we meet as well, obviously people in Liverpool, so many different businesses and residents, and so many different parts of the city, and the places that we find or go to. We've obviously a script could have anything from someone's basement through to rooftops to obviously, if anything doesn't,
beaches and cliffs and parks and all that sort of stuff.
And I think every single job as well, we're always finding something new, or there's something scripted that we've never actually had to find, which is fun. So obviously our database is pretty huge now. So when we read a script, there could be kind of a good 70-80%. We're like, we kind of know where to go for that. But then there could be that other kind of percent that we're like, ooh, where does this exist, or how can we make this work? Working with the production designer to make that look like what they want.
It was like, it doesn't matter how many years we've been doing it. Like I was taking some pictures of a theatre the other day, and they said to me, if you come back again, we'll show you the elephant pits. And I was like, what? The elephant pits? And they were like, years ago, they used to show elephants in this theatre because it's really old. And they used to keep the elephants like in the basement downstairs, and they used to bring them up as there was like a mechanical lift. They used to bring them, pop them out on the floor of the theatre. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't know about that. So it's like, it doesn't matter how long we've been doing it. There's like these new little surprises, aren't there?
Amazing,
That sounds bizarre.
I love it.
The Olympia, by the way, if anyone's wondering, old theatre that gets used for different events. So we've done tons of filming there. So
if a request came through from someone asking for like a specific location, not like by name, but by describing it, saying what they wanted. How do you go about sourcing that? Like, do you have a database of different locations?
Yeah, so first off, sometimes in the script or in the kind of brief that we're given on an email, they might kind of describe. And then sometimes it could be someone could just say house, and we're like, well, what type of house? Is it big? Is it small? What kind of people would live there? So we kind of then have to come back with lots of questions to kind of get that kind of more details of what they're looking for.
And also in the script, if something controversial is happening in that script, you know, we also need to know what that is so that we can work out, you know, is the house being damaged, you know, or, you know.
Yeah, it's a sex scene in the house, you know, will that, if we approach someone, we need to kind of let them know in their bedroom if sex scene's going to happen, or, you
I've
know,
never even considered that. But yeah, like
or murder.
So I always thought about the challenges, you know, the Jimmy Savile one that they did not that long ago. I just thought about the location team on that, and I just thought what challenges they must have had to try and get people to you know, agree to let them use their locations, just because it's such a, you know, a tough
there's
topic.
always so many different jobs you could go on that have really sensitive subjects, or so I think you always have them to make sure that the kind of owners, business owners, or whoever has that building know the full details and they're okay with those things that are happening. And if we're trying to find out more details of what we're trying to find, we can ask if they've got a production designer on board for reference pictures. They sometimes send a mood board, which is amazing, and that really helps. And to us go, oh yeah, that does exist in Liverpool, we'll go there. Or so yeah, when we get given a mood board or reference pictures, it's really helpful as well, if they have the time for that. And then if they can't send reference pictures or mood boards, we'll set off sending them ideas from the Dropbox first.
Yeah, so that's what we do have, this joint database that we share. So that's where we'd first start, really, looking in that, wouldn't we? So if someone's like, oh, I need a film-friendly Catholic church, then we already know that in our Dropbox we've got however many of them, 4 or 5 of them, and Faye and I will have a conversation and go, you filmed at, you know, St. Mary's recently, what was it like? How are they? Is it the same vicar? You know, are they still happy? You know, that type of thing. So we're very lucky, but over the years that we've built this up, so that will be our first point of call, having discussions with each other, which again, we're so super lucky that we can bounce ideas off each other and get that info. And then if we haven't got it, we have to start going out in our cars and starting to, Googling and then driving around.
Yeah, Google's amazing. I think, Claire, you said that when you started. Maybe when I did, I can't remember.
It's embarrassing, but I didn't even have Google when I was scouting first.
Oh, that must have been so much more difficult.
Yeah, well, we didn't know any different, but I think 12 years we've both been in the industry now. So I think it was 12 years we kind of were working in the industry, and then that's when we set up the Liverpool Locations company. So we'd already been in the industry 12 years before that, and then it's kind of a good 23 years at the moment now. But
Google's incredible. Like, to just take the little orange man and drop him on the street and do it. I mean, don't get me wrong, we always say this, don't ever trust Google, because you still need to physically go to that location.
Yeah.
Buildings are still there and the road's not onto a one-way or, you know, pedestrianised or anything.
I think that's the thing as well with Liverpool, because there is so much inward investment, so much money coming to the city. Some of our locations that we used to have on our database, we generally thought that they haven't changed too much. But I think things are changing so fast now. You know, those apartments that were there, they're not there anymore. Or that amazing derelict building is now gone and there's something else being built there. So obviously all the amazing list of buildings, we know that they generally won't have changed much. Like St. George's Hall and some gorgeous buildings that we've got. We know, and we'll touch base, it's more about finding out availability. So our pictures, you know, we always do go and get new versions of pictures, but we know those kind of buildings shouldn't have changed, and that makes our job a little bit easier.
The docks are always tricky, you know, like Stanley Dock and by the Titanic Hotel and stuff. Everyone absolutely loves that tobacco warehouse down at the, you know, the Stanley Dock, and they will always, we regularly get those images, you know, and they're like, oh my god, this looks so amazing, so got, you know, so much texture and atmosphere, and we're like, yeah, they're being converted into apartments, sorry. And they're like,
and the old derelict pictures, and that's like reference pictures from designers or the production, or
Like, sorry to disappoint
it's not
you.
there anymore. It's one street in Everton that we've been sent quite a few times, which is I wish it still existed, and it was a really kind of gorgeous street, terrace street, but on a really big hill, and people who kind of know Liverpool will kind of, or the history.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And that so many times, and I think the first time I got sent it, I was like, "Ooh, I don't know that." So I actually did have to do my research, and I was like, since then I've definitely been sent it about 5 times, because it would be an epic film location, but it doesn't exist. So obviously we have in our database those amazing alternatives that we can kind of give straight back to them and say, what about this instead? So
brilliant. I was wondering as well, in terms of if you're filming in like someone's house or some sort of property, how do you go about like stunts and stuff like that? Like if someone had to like fall through a glass window, how does that work?
Well, obviously you get the owner's permission, but the way you're getting the permission is being transparent, but also giving them the information of how we're going to cheat this. It's all about cheating it, the magic of television or film or whatever. So they'll never be smashing through the real glass of their window. Ideally you would be taking the glass out, or the frame of the window out, replacing it with a fake that will be sugar glass to it, and easily breakable frame of plastic or whatever you're cheating it as, and then you will replace it with their window at the end afterwards, and repaint it and all the things that you need to leave it as found, because that's what we have to do. We sign location agreements, which is legally binding filming agreement that says we have to leave that location as found.
Is it quite difficult to convince people to do that, or do you find that people come forward and like volunteer?
I think if someone's already interested in letting you film in their house, then it wouldn't take much persuasion. If you explain it properly and assure them that things are going to go back, then they're generally okay. If it's someone that was already resistant about using their house, then I don't think we'd ever push that.
Well, that is part of our job as well, that makes us good at our job, that there might be a location that might not be interested, but we've heard that it could be amazing inside, or that we've heard word on the grapevine that is an awesome place, possibly in the basement, to film from somebody. So it is part of our job to try and kind of let them know the benefits of filming and the money that they would get paid, and that and the other reason that we're good at our jobs is because we look after them, and it's not maybe as scary as they think. So so the pros and cons, and then they can weigh up whether it's worth their while or not, really. So we can say, because every job would have a different budget, so whether it's a feature film to a TV commercial or a TV drama, so we will kind of put that kind of pitch to them. Here you go, this is how many days it would be, this is the cost of what you get, this is how much disruption, what the hours would be, and then they can kind of say yes or no, and that's fine. But we've done our job then by kind of giving them the bigger picture of everything. So
Liverpool Locations would pay people for their house or property or whatever. Is that how that works, or is it
that we're working for would pay them? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Get brought on by production companies, so it could be Warner Brothers, or it could be Line Pictures that's based in Liverpool. So so many different production companies might want to film in Liverpool and might hear about us or know about us and say, can you make this work? We want this whole TV drama to be based here. Can you find everything and then manage the whole shoot and make it happen? Keep everyone happy within budget as well. So they would give us that whole budget for that locations department for those kind of that many months of filming, and we need to keep on budget, but it would be the productions, the money that we're kind of so we're brought on to kind of manage that side of things.
And can anyone apply for their property to go into that database?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool.
That we just say, if you email us at hello@liverpoollocations.com with a brief description of your property, you don't have to give us the full address, but the area it's in, and then obviously a few photos of the outside and the inside to give us an idea of the period, the size, the location. The more space the better, really, because whatever you see on screen, we need that size again behind the camera. So bigger rooms, knocked through rooms, you know, those type of things.
Yeah,
they're always better.
We've had, this is an example of like a location we get in a script all the time. It could be someone's terraced house location where they live. So some of the characters live there, it's a terrace street, it's a terraced house, but we always try and find a big terrace so we can get the film crew in. So obviously, you know, that description, but there are certain ones in Liverpool that are bigger versions that might even have a knock through bit that where the crew and all the cameras and the kit could go. So so bigger versions of everything, because obviously you lose a bit of space once all the kind of team get in there.
I mean, there's also the opportunity to, you know, like again, like a Magica TV, like you said, is cheap. So you film the outside of something. You know, like the most common like establisher you can think of is like Central Perk in Friends. So they show you the establisher, the outside of the cafe, and then they cut to a studio set. So it's bigger and it's lit the way they want. So if the production's got enough money and they're going to use that for many scenes, it might be worth them just, we shoot the exteriors outside a terrace house and then they build the set in the studio, and then they've got more space and they've got more flexibility, you know, with it.
It makes sense, like, to try and do that, because sometimes certain locations won't have everything that you want. So
Yeah.
you might have to like mix and match different ones.
It's just
Is it-
historically more expensive to build a set than it is to
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering, when you've been like on location filming, have you ever got like a favorite one? Something that you always think back to? It can be like recent or it can be years ago. Anything that stands out that has always been a favorite?
I've got
quite a few, actually, yeah.
My favorite it was actually on one of my first jobs, the one I was talking about before, which was it was the gangster drama. I think it's called Dot Kill. I don't know how well it did, but it had some epic locations. It was like meant to be based in New York, and we cheated it all kind of in Liverpool.
It was about a serial killer, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was the silo,
The grain silo.
grain silo on Regent Road.
Yeah.
On kind of the North Docks, and it's amazing. People will if you kind of Google that silo, it's a grain silo.
Yeah, it's a grain silo.
Regent Road. It's just an epic location. So I know it's recently lots of film crews have inquired, and it was full of grain, and the cost to kind of take the grain out and clean the building and things. So it hadn't had
The
filming for
smell
years.
in that. Do you remember the
It
smell?
had a set smell like
Oh,
when
it's a
we filmed there,
strong
but
smell.
it's a kind of, even though it was a funny smell, it reminds me of being so excited about being on my first proper job and how cool it all was. It's just really epic building. So that I drive past that all the time, and there's nothing being scripted that fits, but I definitely be inquiring if there's anything, even if it doesn't fit the script. Sometimes I'll throw it in and be like, what about this? How can we amend the script to fit into this location? So I mean, there's things like the Williamson tunnels, and you know, there's so many epic.
I mean, St. George's Wall's just insane.
Yeah,
it's like
is.
there's amazing, like, you know, the underground tunnels. Well, it's not. It's like a heating system, but it's just there's just so many different things. They've got all the amazing period courtrooms, the big halls. The outside, it's just mad, isn't it? One of my favorite, and it is probably tinged because it's in a hot country, but I was asked to find a really amazing sort of villa in Mallorca, and obviously there was somebody like me, a fixer over in Mallorca, and they were sending me pictures and stuff, and then we went out to Recce, and when we went to this amazing villa, and it had this unbelievable view of the sea, and I had this pool, and it was just insane. I was a little bit scared because I was like, I don't want to bring a crew in here, there's so many things they could bring. But then we were talking about how we needed this, we had this beach, and the guy that was showing us around, he only went, oh, I've got my own private beaches down here, and we were like, what, down where? And then where the rocks were, he had like a spiral staircase. So we went down this spiral staircase. I mean, obviously we had to have the discussions about how we're going to carry equipment, but when he took us down and then walked through this cave, and then it opened up to this private little beach where he had like a little boat, like jetty, and I was just like, oh my God. And it's all connected together. And then he was telling us the price of it, and I was like, oh, it's a bit expensive, but it's got the beach. So that's one of my favorites that I wish we could have spent a lot longer there.
That sounds amazing. I imagine like things probably do come up accidentally quite a lot, where it's like a hidden gem.
Yeah.
I think I've definitely gone to places where I've gone for one reason, And then they've gone, oh, do you just want to come through here? Do you want to see this other room? And I always say yes to any extension of that kind of visit, because it's always been something like, whoa, how did I not know this existed? And thank you for just mentioning it, because you opened up a tiny door and then it's gone into this epic.
And even if it doesn't work for that production, we've got the pictures and we'll know it's
But Liverpool, for us, I mean, the whole country has got some unbelievable places to film. I mean, obviously there's so much filming across the whole country. But yeah, obviously it's our hometown, and you know,
and there's also so much close to Liverpool. You know, you've got like you've got the beaches that aren't that. We've got our own beaches. Then you've got all, like, you can go North Wales is only an hour away if you want the hills, and you know, those type of things. It's just we're not that far away from all the different things that
if there isn't any, if there's something maybe it doesn't have, there's nothing too far to travel to. There was another amazing location that I love as well. We filmed at a place called Pilkington Glass, the factory. So part of it was closed in St Helens, and it's just an amazing kind of building. We've done so many different jobs there. So
there's a couple of Marvel films have been
from big feature films through to kind of TV commercials we've kind of done there. So we did like a football commercial there with Mo Salah, and so that's, there's so many. That's what I want to explore more, kind of just outskirts of Liverpool a lot more. Obviously it's just completely northwest that we kind of cover, just to kind of stay close to home to our families, but you can tell we're excited about what exists.
I love that though. It just sounds like there's so much that goes into it, probably a lot more than what people think. Is there something within your job that you do that you wish more people knew about?
I just wish they knew about this more, because there's a lot of people that want to get into the TV and film industry, but they generally might only know about being like a director or a makeup artist or a camera operator. And I'm sort of, we like to spread the word about locations, because it's such an interesting department. We're involved in all the different like departments that are in the industry and the production, and we're on so early, we're there all the way through, and then we're there afterwards in post-production as well. So I feel like if more people knew about it, there'd be more people who would be interested in it.
That's kind of some people think we just find things and that's it, but obviously it's the big project management side of closing roads and speaking to councils, police for evidence, and that's part of the reason. It was a couple of years ago now, over 2 years ago, for actually the last 12 years we've been getting people in for work experience as and when we can, to get them on set and show them what exists and exactly what we do. People who've asked us and inquired and said, I'd like to know more.
And selfishly, we found some really great people by doing that as well.
And
people that have worked with us.
And if it wasn't for them, we just introduced them to other departments. We say, watch all the departments plus us and let us know what you think's more interesting. And we did set up, we have set up, and we still do, is that location assistant training. So it's the entry level role into our department. So we've got one coming up on Friday the 19th of April. We still have a couple of spaces left for that one, I think. But yeah, we do them over the space of the year. And it's for anyone that really wants to get into our department. And we teach them it's a full day kind of boot camp, really, of showing them what we do, and also teaching them how to be a marshal as well, because that's a way to get into the industry. So sometimes big feature films need people to kind of lock off,
and they need a lot of them.
So it's to be a location assistant or a marshal to kind of help the location department, basically, and all the kind of film jargon.
And we teach them all the set etiquette and when to speak, when not to speak, how to use a radio. It's all the things that, you know, I was scared to death when I first went on set. Oh my God, am I going to speak through a take? I'm like, hello, come in. Oh, it was awful. Just trying to basically, you know, empower them and the confidence, so when they do go on set, they already know, you know, stuff. So
they've got a massive head start.
Massive head start.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah, teaching people. I'm part of that day as well. We teach people the things that we wish we knew, was how to get jobs, how to do your CV. And so I think the industry is obviously always known to be a tricky one to get into. I think it's becoming better, and there's a lot more opportunities advertised out there, but we kind of pull together. We've got handouts where we show people where to look for those jobs, whether it's locations or not. So that's where we just think that's massive for people, because I think some people are like, I really want to do this job or get into the industry stuff.
But they haven't got the first clue.
Yeah.
Or they've hit quite a few brick walls and they're just like, I don't know what other avenue to try or to take, that's the thing.
So yeah, anything to kind of give people a kind of bit of a kick and realize that you can get in and we can kind of help really as much as we can.
The advantage, I think, that you wouldn't normally have, only because we've done it ourselves and we're seeing it all the time. And you're really good. Your Faye's really good at she's like, oh, I've seen this other thing, and I've seen this other thing.
Yeah, we're constantly looking for jobs in the industry and sending them to people that we know and things.
Yeah, and following the right people and organisations and things.
Oh, I love that, because it's such a collaborative space. So I think it is always good to network and keep those people close and be able to share and collaborate, because a lot of the time that's the only way people get their foot in the door and are able to actually get into that industry.
And we didn't have all the social media when we started, so there's a lot more mediums that you can use compared to what we used.
But if you don't know where to look, it can still be a little bit tricky. So there's a lot, obviously, different groups and places you can follow. So yeah, as of location wise, we definitely think it's a certain department that there was an advert years ago where it was like a location scout, and you saw him driving his Land Rover and he just took pictures of places. And that's what people thought we just did. And then obviously there's like so much more to it. And so it's nice to kind of try and spread the word, because we've actually had people think and come into work experience and go, no, we really don't want to do what you're doing. We want to do what they're doing. We're like, fine, don't worry, it's fine.
It's not for everyone,
yeah,
but it definitely seems like you two are incredibly passionate about it, and I love that. I love seeing people who are so passionate about what they do, because it comes across as well, and it makes it just so much better to be able to work in that environment then. But I think we need to get to probably the most anticipated moment of this episode. What kind of productions and what stars have you worked with?
Oh God, well, so obviously worked with like the big names, sort of like Bob Hoskins and Jude Law, and they're lovely people, and in our role sometimes you do get to know those people and sometimes you don't. It just depends on what's going on, what's in the script, how big the production is, how small the production is. I when I worked with Jude Law many years ago on the remake of Alfie, which is a Michael Caine film, he wasn't really on my radar as someone that I found attractive. It just wasn't. And then when I met him, I was like, oh, hello. I remember nearly knocking him over. There was a problem somewhere. Security had radioed me. Someone trying to take pictures, and they were trying to get through the cordon or whatever. And I remember running and knocking into somebody, nearly spun them round. They went, all right, love, don't mind me. And I was like, oh, sorry, as I was running away. And it was him. And I was like, oh, I'm glad I haven't injured him. He's like the star.
Oh,
and then another one which I always which is just it's just cute. It's funny, we were there was a commercial with Ian Rush, the Liverpool footballer, and we needed to find a house and a kitchen, because basically what they were doing was recreating the Accrington Stanley exactly advert for Accrington Stanley Stadium, and so they had him in and they had this kid, and they said they needed this kitchen, and we were looking through our Dropbox and stuff, and I was like, do you know this brief absolutely matches our mum and dad's house? I was like, I'm just going to go and ask my mum. So I went to ask mum, didn't I? And she was like, what? Ian Rush? Oh, yeah, I'll be at the allotment. You crack on. So I took pictures of it, sent them over within all the other properties that we'd scouted for it, and they were like, oh, we really like this one, this is perfect. And I thought, I've got this one right, it's my mum and dad's house. So Ian Rush is in my mum and dad's house, sitting in the living room while they're setting up in the kitchen. It was a really bizarre day, because Ian Rush is in my mum and dad's house, and then I was able, because my eldest son is like a big Liverpool fan, so I was able to get him to like sign a shirt for him, which is he's got it up on his wall in his bedroom, and I was like, oh, these are such perks sometimes. Bizarre, but
that's amazing.
Love it. Yeah, I think there's so many. I'm just trying to think. Well, I always go blank on this question. I don't know why. I think this is a really funny one, actually. I remember being so excited, but he wasn't. I was on a TV drama, and I remember that I got asked to show a husband around the sets of like where we were, of one of the actresses. And then I didn't know who it was going to be. And then when I turned up at the reception, it was Andy Serkis, who's like Gollum. He was Gollum at the time. And I was like, so I remember just coming home that day. I was like, I met Gollum today. And I was like it was just the excitement of certain people. And I was like, he's a legend. I've just seen Gollum today. So I remember showing him around, and obviously he was waiting for his wife to finish filming. So that was like a pretty cool one. It was
he is an absolute legend.
He's so good.
And he's not just Gollum, he's loads of other.
The dedication he has.
I mean, he's done loads before anyway, but he's obviously done tons.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Michael Gambon. It was a feature film called Brideshead Revisited. And I remember I was looking after Castle Howard in Yorkshire, so as a location assistant then, so I was kind of new to it. And one of the big things no one was allowed tea and coffee on set or anywhere within the building. I remember that he'd tried to walk in with his tea and coffee, and I was like, oh. I remember telling him that he couldn't take it in. I know he wasn't very impressed, which I understand because he's busy.
What are you doing your job?
I was doing my job, but you feel like you just got a bit of a side eye, like. But I get, I totally get it. Like, it's just like, well, it was just at the time, it's like, I do not want to damage Castle Howard. But yeah,
I would have
he was
loved
so
to be a
lovely.
location assistant. Like that. Yes, proud.
Yeah, that was a good one because we were filming in Castle Howard for the whole summer. So it felt like it was my house because I was there every day for months. I'm trying to think what other epic kind of people. There's so many. It's
you just worked when you did Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool. Have you seen that Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool, Emilie?
It's a feature film that was filmed in Liverpool. So
I need to see that. I still haven't seen it yet. It's on my list.
So yeah, we had to
get your tissues ready, but it is really good because what an amazing story that she came. This big Hollywood superstar came and lived wanted to live her dying days in Liverpool with the guy that she was with, which was, what's his name?
Oh, Jamie Bell.
But
yeah. But yeah, so there's I was trying to think what else. Obviously we worked on Peaky Blinders.
Love Peaky Blinders, one of the best series. And the locations, obviously, amazing.
Yeah, we didn't work on every series, but it was a bit on series 3, and we were just so excited to be on it, which was so lovely that we're still excited after all these years to be called on and be like, this is so exciting. And one of the ones I worked on recently, I was so excited just about finding some really different places.
I remember working years ago on Hollyoaks when Hollyoaks was like really popular, and we were filming someone naked hanging on the side of a bus, and I just remember it was a night shoot, and I remember thinking, this is my job, and I can see this stunt man hanging. You just see his naked bum, and he's obviously got a sock on his. That's how you shoot it. You have to put like a flat coloured sock over the bits. And I just remember being like, wowza. Wow, every day's different.
Yeah.
That's so funny though. You just wouldn't expect that.
Not interested.
No.
I did it in the summer, quite a big feature film that'll be coming out probably within the next year. And it was Idris Elba, so Claire's like, yes, she was like, what? Claire, and then John Cena, and tons of other people. So that was really interesting, just watching all that happen. But I feel like with these kind of things, I think there's so many of our brains are just like, oh. So yeah, I think the thing we always say as well, that we don't generally, we're so busy that we can't even think about getting excited, but we get excited by certain ones like Gollum, and and you don't want to be that person that kind of goes up to them, or you're not meant to anyway, because you're not them. So but yeah,
gotta be sneaky about it. Gotta play it cool. I just casually approach. I was wondering, like, when it comes to thinking back to, like, favorite locations and like what you've worked on and all that, has there been anything recent? Like, I'm not sure whether I might have got this wrong, but has there been like a reuse of the Peaky Blinders mansion with Fool Me Once?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought it was. Yes. Okay. I made it with myself for realizing that.
I love Harley Hope. I'm like, stop using it for a bit. Give it a break. it for like a Disney kids program years ago called Evermore. Then I know that Peaky's used it for Thomas Shelby's. Well, I scouted it for Peaky's for them to use it for Thomas Shelby's mansion, and then I know that Fumi once have used it, but then obviously Hollyoaks have been using it. I scouted it for Hollyoaks as well, and they've been using it, and I'm a bit like, whoa.
Oh, it's
a busy house.
You find an epic location, it does.
Oh yeah.
And they are really film friendly there as well. They've got great people there, so it's a nice location to work because they understand what you need. They're really helpful. So yeah, it's great being there.
And am I right in thinking, did you work on Dead Hot doing the locations for them?
No.
Oh, really?
No, but it looks really cool.
Ah, yeah. Well, I've recently just finished it, and it was brilliant. Like it did show off Liverpool quite well.
Yeah, it's on my list. There's so many things filmed in Liverpool. I haven't even watched 60.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you can't. I think
that's on my list as well.
Yeah, that looks so cool. I can. We weren't on Sexy Beast, but we were filming something. I think I was on the feature film, the Amazon one at the same time, and the locate. Obviously, it's so much fun watching something and spotting, but we can never kind of switch off when it's a Liverpool job. Feels like work a little bit, but like, you can't just
writing down some inspiration, like, oh, let's check out that one.
Yes,
add it to the database.
I think it's like, I don't know if you watched Tin Star, but series 3 of Tin Star is all Liverpool. Like the whole story is like he ran away from Liverpool and now he's back and he's confronting the people that he ran away from and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, that looks really good, that one as well. That was another one where you're like, oh.
I love it when like we get to show off Liverpool for Liverpool. And like, because often it's so often used as like 1920s New York or London or Paris or somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? Like, or it's in a film world like in Harry Potter, and it looks completely different. Obviously, because it's got that mix of modern and Gothic architecture, so it is versatile. But it can be so nice to actually see it just used as modern day Liverpool.
That's actually one of the last jobs, or the jobs I've been scouting on at the moment. It is actually meant to be Liverpool, so I can't say too much about it, but that's actually really lovely. So and it is all modern day, so we're not even doing a dated version of Liverpool, or in the future it is meant to be now. Also, it's been really interesting locations, and it is going to be Liverpool. So it's been really cool to kind of scout.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Kind of know as soon as we can.
It sounds brilliant. I mean, I love seeing as well how versatile it can be, with like so many different streets look like it's just come out of like, the 1800s or something, doesn't it? Liverpool, like
the George Water, isn't it?
Oh, gorgeous, absolutely stunning. And then you turn around the corner and it's like, no, this is definitely 2024. Like, it's just all these different eras like merged together, so it's no wonder that like it's a hotspot for filming, because you got so many different areas and versatility.
I wonder whether, and I'm not saying that this is right, but obviously we were incredibly rich as a city, where we were like second richest outside because that's where the first port, we developed the first port, but then obviously over a long period of time we've then obviously been a city that was quite deprived. So in one way that's worked in our favour. So we've had all these amazing and really expensive and beautiful buildings because we had the money for them to be built. But then when redevelopment was happening and we weren't redeveloping, that I wonder whether that's why we've retained some of these amazing spaces, because that we didn't at that time have the money to knock them down and put these modern buildings in place. So I wonder whether it's been an advantage to us, maybe, if there's any silver lining to be deprived.
I think so. No, honestly, I think so. I think it's got that such a unique blend of architecture. I mean, the only kind of similar thing is probably like New York, but even then, it doesn't have that exact look that Liverpool does, where it's old and new right next to each other. I mean, it's just insane the way it looks and how we can make that work for different productions.
Yeah,
there's just such a big range, and I think that does attract a lot of different productions and people.
Yeah, I know, but I know obviously we're very hopeful, aren't we, that the film studios will be, the start of the remedial works is really positive, and hopefully maybe in a couple of years that we might have that facility, but because on quite a few jobs I was working in Manchester, they were based in Manchester because there was actually a studio there, but they were driving down the M62 every day to come and film our locations, our buildings, because it was a period drama. And so you're just thinking, yeah, it's good. It'll be really good. It's exciting times, I think.
It is for crew and people that wanting to get into the industry. That I think for years we've known that people haven't had to go elsewhere, but I think we're really starting to let people know who are in the city, if they do want jobs, that they do exist and they are coming. So
yeah, definitely, I agree. I think it just wasn't really publicized and talked about, like, and because it is hard to get into, a lot of people can gatekeep that because they don't want people taking their jobs. It's already so scarce anyway. But we did all go through, I mean, even in my part of the media industry, I'm in video journalism. I think we all felt it the past few years, especially with COVID. There was a bit of difficulty, a bit of a drought really with a lot of jobs and all that. And of course, there was many different redundancies that happened. And then it seems like we're slowly getting back into a bit of a boom now, where things are getting back on track. I mean, the things that are happening with the Liverpool Film Office looks incredible. And it looks like really good things are coming Liverpool's way.
Yeah, I think, like we mentioned before, the strikes have massively affected people.
But of course.
And maybe not over the whole country. I know that still a lot of people are at work, still waiting, but definitely Liverpool there's just something happening at the minute, definitely to do with the film office. And there's definitely more kind of starting, like we are both working on things at the moment that will be, happening within the next month filming. So, and we can see that there's definitely more coming for the summer. And it is, like we said, mostly the summer is the kind of busiest time because it's longer days and longer filming. More in. So I'm really excited about the summer.
So to wrap this up, do you have any advice that you'd like to give to any listeners who are hoping to get into this kind of role?
Loads. I could go on for that again.
Come and do our call. I think connecting with people. We always say that LinkedIn. If you haven't got a LinkedIn profile, then that's definitely something.
Oh, 100%.
And if you've got no experience in the industry at all, at least you can start following the people that you think are relevant and the people you like and the organisations that might have the work experience, the internship, the apprenticeship. Then there isn't enough. We need there to be more. Faye and I are big champions of learning on the job and apprenticeships in that way. But yes, the very rare ones that are out there, if you're following the right people, you'll get to see them.
I think definitely follow us because we repost jobs.
Opportunities.
Anything we see, because we do want more apprenticeships or trainee schemes. There's a lot happening, a lot more than it used to be. But we definitely think there should be more. But anything we see, we repost. And people obviously we know now that have come on our courses or we've had one-to-ones with, because we also do one-to-ones with people where we have a really good chat with them about what they do right now, what they'd like to do, or they think they'd like to do. And we kind of find out about all their transferable skills. And we go, actually, we think this department would be great. Maybe you should follow these people. We have handouts that we'll give to them that of all the different people to follow or companies that might have those kind of
help them with their CV, because CVs are different for different industries, aren't they? And ours can be quite bespoke. So just give them a little bit of tips and help with that.
TV film CVs are quite different. It needs to be really to the point and quick because people don't have too much time when they're on a job to look through CVs. So we kind of explain the important bits to kind of bring to the top or the front of your CV. But there's so many different Facebook groups and networks and communities that you can kind of join. And once you join a few of them, I think with the algorithm, it starts flashing up all the different ones. You can kind of join a few, you kind of get notified about some of the others. So there's tons of different groups, and I think that kind of grows all the ones we've joined over the years. Then we've joined more since. So the more you see, the more you kind of see again. But don't be afraid if you are. I think LinkedIn is definitely, I don't know if for us, we've always had a LinkedIn for years, but only the last about 3 years, we've kind of really noticed that it's great for the film and TV industry, and it's okay to kind of message someone. Obviously, they might not reply, but it is definitely more of a forum where you could message someone and ask, can I pick your brains, or have you got any advice, or do you have any jobs? Whereas you wouldn't really do that on Facebook. It's a bit more friends, family kind of vibe, isn't it? If a personal kind of message. Obviously, wherever you are in the country, there is a film office, or there should be a film office, council near to you. So obviously try and find whatever that film office your area covers, and they have usually should have some kind of area where you can join their kind of
Crew
database as an entry level, even if you've had no experience at all. I know the Liverpool Film Office does that, and Manchester, Screen Manchester, and a lot of them have entry level where you just join, say you are interested in getting to the industry, and when big films come, sometimes you might get as a marshal. And obviously you can add yourself in whichever department you might be interested in as well, entry level wise. So many different ways we could go on forever.
That's brilliant. I mean, I agree with LinkedIn. Like, that is so underrated. Like, it just works so seamlessly as well.
That's how we met, wasn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. Like, it works. It's just, I think that's the place to be if you want to network, especially for film and TV. Like, there's just so many possibilities on there.
We are actually doing separately Thursday. I don't know when this will come out, but Thursday the 28th of March, we will have we're actually going to do a kind of 2-hour free event, networking event, where we kind of give some advice to people.
Cool.
Well, in Liverpool. It's the Tank Room at the moment. We'll be posting it on our socials in the next couple of days. So it's just obviously it's limited amount of tickets, but we'll just put it on an Eventbrite and people can kind of book to come, and it's kind of meeting us, our team, and other industry professionals. So it's just a kind of couple of hours just chatting to industry professionals, ourselves, and just having a kind of natter with everyone, and really people in the same situation as you.
Yeah.
Anyone that's interested in knowing more about the industry, we're putting that on in a couple of weeks' time.
Love that. Like, I love when events like that happen, because it really does bring people together in that collaborative space. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, this has been such an interesting conversation. I feel like I've learned so much. Like, I hope like listeners have really enjoyed, and it was just so insightful to be able to see what this kind of role is actually like, because it isn't really like something that's talked about a lot in the industry. It can be quite underrated, but there's so much going on, and I think it's one of the most interesting aspects of filming. I think people just don't know about it all that much. So hopefully we've shone a light on that today.
Yes, thank you for letting us. Thank you.
Well, how we finish this episode is we always say at the end, stay cozy. So after 3, shall we give that a go?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Stay cozy.